In my hands is a great book, a mystery novel by Tarun Maharishi called The Portrait of a Secret, published by Penguin India in 2023. For a 300-page book, this has an MRP of $299 and is available on Amazon for $187 with free delivery for Prime members. On the other hand, I have this 200-page book at the MRP of $298 and is available on Amazon at $298 only. Is this the normal trend? Are traditionally published books cheaper? Hello, namaskar, welcome, swagatam. You are with the Versatile Doctor. My name is Dr. Abhinav Atul. As someone who has self-published 2 novels, I could simply go on and fill this video with clickbait ideas like how easy it is to publish a book right now, that it is free, and this and that. But I'm using the platform TLB, the Digital City, has provided me to promote self-publishing in a practical way. I'm going to tell you what is real, the difficulties you might face, the expectations which your publisher may never fulfill, and the expenses you might never recoup. As I try to bring you one step closer to realizing your dream of becoming a self-published author, let us pick up right from where I left in the last video. The 4 myths. Well, this video is not a myth buster debunking those statements, but an eye-opener which questions whether those myths are actually myths. With more and more people getting aware of the existence and the ease of self-publishing, many young authors may not even try submitting their manuscript to the traditional publishers and go straight to self-publishing. Like many years ago, I did send the samples of my first novel, The Fourth Kiss, to more than 10 publishing houses. As far as I remember, it may have been more. Later, I self-published through Notion Press and KDP. But then, when I finished my second novel, The Broken Boyfriend, I didn't even think about wasting my time with submitting proposal letters, summaries, chapter outlines, and so on to publishers. I self-published again. So if I say that only those authors who can't get published by traditional publishers go for self-publishing, this is partly true. And as we saw with multiple examples in the previous episode, many authors may still be waiting to catch the eye of a traditional publisher, even after self-publishing. Talking about the other myth, self-publishing is free. Well, come on, nothing in this world is actually free. I won't even try to explain why this is clearly a myth. Now, think about it. You publish your book from a reputed self-publishing company. You receive author copies. You are elated beyond expression. You throw a party. You proudly show your work to your parents, your family, your friends, and everyone who ever doubted you. Then what? Who is going to read your book? Maybe you can get 10 to 15 people in your circle of acquaintances to read your book. You can give free copies to your near and dear ones. Then, who else in the world knows about your book? Who might be interested in buying and reading it? You have to do your best to promote your book, to bring it to the spotlight. Publishing without promotion and marketing is like buying a new car and just locking it up in the garage. Suffice it to say, publishing is just the middle of your journey. Now, here's where TLB, the Digital City, also provides a good platform for authors. With a membership of over 1,500 book enthusiasts, your book can reach potential readers. You can bring forth your book by taking a Book of the Week slot, run giveaways, take part in review generation, or come forward as the author of the week, or talk with the viewers in our author interviews. And that is not all. We can feature your book in TLB bookstalls in different fests and in coming days in book fairs too. Most of the young authors who I speak to tell me they don't have money to spend on book promotion. Like they are in school or college and they have used up all their savings in getting the book published and they have nothing left for promotion. Well, first, this was poor planning on their part, and that is the exact reason why I have started this series, to guide you with things you may not know before publishing your book. Second, most of the services TLB has to offer are free, including our author interviews. And third, if you want your book to reach readers, you have to invest in marketing and promotion. And by investment, I mean both your time and your money. Either one of them will not work in isolation. I will dedicate a full episode on various aspects of marketing and promotion, but for now, let us move on. The biggest question of all is, Are self-published books inferior to traditionally published books? The answer to this is clearly, unequivocally no. There is no inherent difference in the quality of a book based on the publisher. But there are a lot of nuances to that. So the machines, the printing machines, cutting machines, binding machines, the overall raw materials, the paper, the ink, all are going to be more or less similar. Because even though there are hundreds of publishing houses, both traditional and self-publishing houses, the number of print-on-demand service providers, the people who are actually producing what we hold in our hands physically, they are only a handful. And everybody uses outsourced printing services right now, like even the big houses. I have this book by Ravinder Singh, Write Me a Love Story. It is published by HarperCollins India. You would assume HarperCollins would have their own printing press, right? See what it says here. Printed and bound at Thomson Press India Limited. Thomson Press is a prominent POD press which provides services for big names such as Penguin, Rupa, and even prints India Today and various textbooks, journals and whatnot. Another prominent one is Repro Books. You can see their presence in the books of Notion Press and other self-publishers. There is HT Media, Replica Press Private Limited, and so on. So the point is, publishers might be different, but printers, being more centralized, are more or less common. So the physical quality of a book is not going to be any different whether it is self-published or traditionally published. Well, unless of course you get your book printed at a very local level in your local printing press, or those books which are specifically targeted to be sold in bulk, like self-help books. Their value is in the tagline "so many million copies sold." So understandably, each of those millions of copies are going to be dirt cheap. Like the book Psychology of Money that my brother was reading. It is published by JCO, a very reputed publisher, written by the best-selling author Morgan Housel. The book has around 300 pages and costs 160 rupees and has cheap paper and poor print quality. Now, is that a pirated copy? I don't know, but this copy was printed in Pashupati Press in New Delhi. I couldn't even find a website for this press. Can you imagine? A global best-selling book being printed in a small alleyway printing press in Delhi. But such is the business model of outsourcing. Now, the point about content. The story, the poetry, or whatever subject matter is there on the pages of the book. Again, this is not the matter of whether a book was self-published or traditionally published, but it is the product of the author's work, the quality of editing, and the overall polishing of the work before printing. Similarly, the cover. It matters if a professional graphic designer has made the cover on the basis of the subject matter in the book, or has the author simply used an AI generated image as the cover. Self-published authors have exceeded all expectations of mediocrity and have become bestsellers in their own right, and their work has been ultimately picked up by traditional publishers, but those examples are always going to be very few in number. As an author, it is our duty to make sure the best possible version of our work is actually put forth to the readers in the best possible cover and on the best possible paper. As a reader, however, the assumption that an indie author may not be worth their time and attention compared to an author whose book was endorsed by, say, Random House, Penguin, or any of the big names, the only thing that can change that impression is, you guessed it, marketing and promotion. But wait, there is more. From here, I come back to the point I made in the beginning of this video. In the beginning of this episode. How is it that the traditionally published books, which may have made their author a sensation, a celebrity, and a rich person, how is that priced so cheap? The answer is twofold. First, clearly, the traditional publishers have the benefit of the bulk quantity. While a typical self-publishing contract will give the author a first printing of maybe 300-500 copies, a traditionally published book's initial print run would typically run in the thousands. So, even if the unit cost is much lower and correspondingly the author's royalty per copy of the book sold is much lower, the quantities make up for it. On the contrary, indie authors who have not only worked hard to write and publish their books and have invested heavily on the publication and the promotion, they want to be remunerated for their effort and investments in terms of royalties, which in turn makes the self-published books costlier. And don't forget, in many cases, self-published authors may not even have the full control of what the MRP of their book would be. It is decided by the publisher. Mind you, this is only a generalization. There are exceptions on both sides of the spectrum. This hardcover edition of Dan Brown's The Lost Symbol was selling at $699 when it came out so many years ago. And special editions and alternate covers can be insanely expensive. On the other hand, some self-published books can be pretty cheap. Now, in addition to everything that I have said, comes the ugly part, the second nuance in how or why the traditionally published books are so cheap. Let me give you an example. You know that the denomination of currency most commonly counterfeited in India is rupees 500, right? Not the 100 rupee note and not the 50 rupee or 20 rupee note. That is because the value, the 500 rupee note has higher value and therefore makes the effort of producing fake currency and all the risks inherent with the faking of the currency really commercially viable. Where am I going with this? Traditionally published bestsellers, which have a huge demand, like the Song of Ice and Fire series, Twisted series, 50 Shades of Grey and so on, those books are pirated the most. The traditional publishers must keep their books relatively cheap as an attempt to discourage piracy too. Think about it. A decent human being, if he knows that he can get the original book at 250 rupees, he would be inclined not to buy a pirated copy for 150, right? I mean, pirated books like this, with horrible page quality, bad printing and absolutely zero aesthetic and asset value, we must not buy this, right? Or that is what we hope. But even though pirated book markets are still rampant and people promote first copy like this is something to be proud of, even though piracy is an unstoppable demon, nobody is going to pirate my book and sell it at 150 even though it is priced at 449, right? Or that of any of the thousands of lesser known authors who go for self-publishing. So, all things considered, yes, there are obvious differences between the books that are traditionally published and those which are not. It is not so black and white, and as a reader, you should make your own conscious decision book to book rather than having a limitation on your own world that you would only purchase books published by the likes of giants like Hachette, Macmillan, Simons and Schuster and so on. Indie authors have a lot to offer too. On the other hand, as a self-published author, we must do everything possible to actually catch the attention of our readers. And it is always going to be a symbiotic relationship. An author is nothing without the readers. And the readers? Where do they go when the big publishers keep pushing the same few dozen celebrity authors to the forefront? Food for thought, isn't it? Well, this is all I have to say in this episode. I will be back with more thought-provoking and fact-promoting episodes on self-publishing. Until next time, do check out the other episodes of the series, subscribe to TLB The Digital City YouTube channel, and of course join TLB for more exciting content, more engagement and more stories. It is free. Thank you for watching this, and don't forget, our range of TLB merchandise is ready for you to check out and love. Go to www.tlbcity.com for more information, and until the next episode, remember the Versatile Doctor. This is Dr. Abhinav Atul signing off. Namaskar.